You wake up and the first thing you do is scroll. 1 minute turns into 30, your mind races. It's not the first time, and it won't be the last. But this time something's different. You thought you were productive. You thought that consuming more would bring more results. But now your brain is overwhelmed. 1,000 notifications, 1,000 voices, all screaming at you for attention. It feels like you're drowning. Every tip, every trick, every productivity expert promising the perfect solution, but none of them work. They only make things worse. What happens when you consume too much? Your brain goes into overload. It's like trying to pour water into a glass that's already full. It doesn't fit, it doesn't stick, it just overflows. And now you're stuck in this cycle. You're chasing the next idea, the next hack, the next breakthrough, but all you're doing is filling your head with endless noise. And the worst part, you don't even realize it until it's too late. Here's the truth. Over 40% of people feel completely overwhelmed by the information they consume daily. This isn't just a statistic. This is real. This is you. This is me. This is the digital age, where our brains are constantly flooded, but no one tells you the cost. Now imagine trying to absorb 7 different sources of information, all shouting for your attention. That was me. I thought if I could just follow every productivity guru, I'd unlock the secret to success. But instead, all I got was more noise, more confusion, more stress. It didn't make me smarter, it made me stuck. You probably think, more information, more power, right? But here's where we've all gone wrong. More information doesn't mean more power. It's just overload. It's like trying to assemble a puzzle, but the pieces are all from different boxes. The more you consume, the more your mind becomes clouded, unable to focus, unable to do anything at all. And here's the kicker. It's not your fault. This is what they want. They want you to consume, they want you to stay in this loop, they want you to keep feeding their content, because the more you consume, the more they win. So what now? How do you break free from the noise? How do you stop drowning in information? You need to stop consuming everything, you need to narrow your focus. But how do you even start when you're already buried? Let me tell you this, it's not about more, it's about better. Quality over quantity, so let's begin. Stop following 10 voices. Follow 3. Yes, just 3. But they have to be the right 3. You don't need 1,000 voices screaming at you. You need a few reliable voices. Voices that push you forward, not sideways, but we're not there yet. We need to dig deeper. Here's something I wish someone had told me when I was drowning in advice. Your brain isn't built to handle all of this. There's a reason you feel paralyzed after hours of scrolling, after listening to a dozen productivity hacks. You think you're gaining knowledge, but your brain is shutting down, rejecting what you've learned. You feel it, right? That pressure, that constant sense of, I should be doing more. The truth is you're doing enough, but you're not doing it right. So how does your brain react to all this noise? Let's break it down scientifically. When we're overloaded, our brains go into stress mode. It's like a signal saying this is too much. And when that happens, your decision-making ability slows down. You start avoiding tasks. You procrastinate. And the worst part, you don't know how to stop. So what do you do when you're stuck? You need a strategy to stop this cycle. To begin, it's about curating what you consume. Not more, just the right stuff. Curating information is the key to unlocking your focus. Imagine you're standing in front of 1,000 doors. Each one leads to a different source of information, and every time you open one, it leads to more confusion. But what if I told you that you only need to pick one door? One clear, simple path? Let me ask you, what if you could shut out the noise and finally hear your own thoughts? That's what happens when you start focusing on fewer, more trusted sources. That's when you begin to feel clear. So now you're thinking, how did we get here? How did I go from trying to optimize my time to being trapped in this cycle, constantly consuming, never truly progressing? The truth is, you've been sold a lie. We've all been led to believe that more information equals more productivity. But here's the catch. The more information you consume, the less you actually do. It's a paradox. You think you're moving forward, but all you're doing is drowning in content. You're reading the latest book, listening to the hottest podcast, watching the newest video on productivity, and yet at the end of the day you feel the same way. Stuck. Here's what's really happening. Your brain isn't designed to handle this much input at once. The more information you try to absorb, the less you're able to process. Imagine a sponge. At first, it soaks up water easily. But if you keep pouring water in, eventually the sponge can't absorb anymore. It's full. That's what's happening inside your head right now. Studies show that when you're exposed to too much information, your brain's ability to make decisions starts to break down. It's like a computer with too many tabs open. It starts lagging. You begin to procrastinate, and before you know it, you're frozen in indecision. Everything becomes overwhelming. Too many choices, too much noise. And this doesn't just make you less productive, it makes you anxious. Your brain goes into survival mode when it's overloaded. It's like trying to survive in a war zone. Every ping from your phone, every new notification, sends your brain into overdrive. It's all a threat. But what if I told you there's a way out of this chaos? What if I told you that you can regain control and actually become more productive by doing less? The secret is simple: curation. It's about being deliberate with what you consume. It's not about trying to take in everything. It's about focusing on what truly matters. Now, I know what you're thinking. I can't just ignore everything. You don't have to. You need to stop following everyone. Instead, choose the right voices, the ones that truly help you grow. Quality over quantity. Here's a hard truth. When you try to follow too many voices, you lose your own. Think about it. Every influencer, every productivity expert, every self-help guru, they're all giving you advice, but it's not all right for you. You don't need a million opinions. You need a few solid, reliable ones. Let's talk about your brain for a second. Why is it so hard to focus in this digital age? Why does it feel like we're constantly juggling 1,000 tasks and never really getting anything done? It's because our brains weren't built for this level of distraction. Every notification, every email, every pop-up is a signal that takes your attention away from what really matters. Your focus is constantly fragmented, and here's what most people don't realize. Multitasking is a myth. You can't focus on two things at once. Your brain switches between tasks, and every switch costs you precious time and energy. Multitasking is draining you. So, what do? How do you break free from this constant cycle? The first step is simple. You need to filter out the noise. Stop following 100 people. Stop listening to every new hack. You only need a few focused sources that push you toward what you truly want to achieve. Here's the powerful part. When you begin to narrow your focus, you don't just become more productive. You become more clear. You start making decisions faster. You begin to focus on the things that actually matter. And that's when you can finally create instead of just consuming. Now let's make this practical. Start small. Pick 3 sources of information. They need to be reliable, they need to align with your values and goals, and most importantly, they need to push you forward. That's it. 3, not 10, not 100. Cut out the rest. Eliminate the noise. Stop trying to keep up with every new trend. Trust me, you don't need them. And here's the most important part. Start applying what you learn. You can read 10 books on productivity, but none of it will matter unless you start acting on what you've learned. So, what do you do once you've filtered out the noise and focused on the right sources? You take action. Simple as that. You can read all the productivity tips you want, but until you apply them, they're just words. You need to make them a part of your daily life. And here's where most people fail. They get stuck in the learning phase. They consume, but never implement. It's time to change that. When you start applying what you've learned, that's when the magic happens. You'll stop feeling like you are moving in circles and start feeling like you're actually moving forward. So here's the challenge. Pick 3 reliable sources, apply what you learn, and keep moving forward. So now you've started narrowing down the noise. You've picked the right sources. You're beginning to feel some clarity. But here's where the real test begins. How do you apply everything you've learned? You've curated your sources, you've eliminated the distractions, but there's still something missing, right? It's action. Imagine you've gathered the finest ingredients, fresh produce, premium cuts of meat, spices that will make your mouth water. But if you don't know how to cook, they're just ingredients. They're not going to do anything for you. This is what happens when you don't apply what you've learned. You've absorbed the knowledge, but it's still just sitting there. Your brain's potential is untapped. Here's where the magic happens. When you start applying what you've learned, you transform, but there's a catch. It's easy to consume, but hard to implement. You've probably read 100 productivity books, listened to dozens of podcasts, but still feel like nothing changes. Why? Because you're not applying it. Here's how you fix that. When you learn a new technique or tip, don't just let it sit in your brain. Put it to work immediately, test it, implement it, and observe what happens. Let me give you an example. Pomodoro technique. You've probably heard of it. Work for 25 minutes, then take a break. Simple, right? But here's where people mess up. They read about it, watch a video, and then move on to the next thing. They never actually try it. The key is to start using it right away. Set the timer, work, take your break, see how it feels, and don't stop there. Keep tweaking it. Maybe you need to work for 30 minutes instead of 25. Maybe you need a longer break, but you won't know until you start applying it. This is where you get to the real aha moment. Once you start practicing, you'll see patterns. You'll learn what works for you and what doesn't. That's when the knowledge becomes powerful. When you stop just consuming and start doing, that's when the magic starts to happen. Let's dive deeper into why this is so important. When you apply something, you make it yours. You understand it, internalize it, and it becomes a part of your routine. But when you keep consuming without applying, it's like reading a book and never actually living the story. It's just words. The same goes for information. You can consume 1,000 tips on how to improve your focus, but until you make a conscious effort to put them into action, they won't do anything for you. They'll just sit there, useless. Here's the hard truth. Most people get stuck in the learning phase. They think that the more they consume, the more they'll grow. But that's not true. It's the applying phase that gets results. You've probably heard of analysis paralysis. It's when you overthink everything and never make a decision because you are so focused on gathering more information. That's what's happening to you right now. So here's the step-by-step fix. Pick one idea that resonates with you. Apply it immediately, test it, measure it. Observe what works and what doesn't. Make adjustments. Don't be afraid to tweak things. Repeat. Keep doing this every day until it becomes second nature. Now, I know what you're thinking. What if it doesn't work? What if I fail? Failure isn't the enemy. In fact, failure is your greatest teacher. If you fail, it means you're trying. And that's how growth happens. But here's the secret. The real failure is in not trying at all. So don't be afraid of failure. Be afraid of staying stuck, of never taking action. Here's something I want you to think about. What could your life look like if you started applying what you've learned today? What if you could stop the constant cycle of information overload and start focusing on what truly matters? The beauty of focusing on just a few sources and applying the techniques that resonate with you is that it cuts through the noise. It makes everything clearer. It's like cleaning the lens of a camera. Suddenly everything is sharp, focused, and within reach. Now I want to leave you with this. The transformation you want to see in your life is possible, but it starts with you taking action. All the knowledge in the world won't help you unless you do something with it. So get started now. In the next video, I'll show you how to take this even further and eliminate the distractions that are draining your focus. But for now, I want you to commit to one thing. Stop consuming without doing. Start applying what you learn, and trust me, the results will follow. Now that you've filtered out the noise and started applying the information, there's one thing left, the hardest part: consistency. You've got the tools, you've got the knowledge, and you've taken action, but now it's time to make it stick. This is where most people fall off. They start strong, but after a few days, the excitement fades. Why does that happen? The truth is, our brains are designed to seek novelty. We love new things. And when something starts feeling too familiar, too comfortable, it's easy to lose interest. But here's the secret. The key to success isn't in the new. It's in the routine. You need to make the new habits a part of your daily life. It's about building the right routines that keep you on track, even when you don't feel motivated. Think about it. You're not going to feel motivated every day. Some days you'll feel lazy. Some days you'll feel like you're failing, but that's okay. Because motivation isn't the key. Consistency is. When you make your habits automatic, when they become a part of your day, you don't have to think about them anymore. You just do them. And that's where the magic happens. But here's the catch. Most people don't build strong habits because they rely on willpower. They try to push themselves to do something every day, but it's exhausting. willpower fades. What you need is a system that works even when you're not feeling motivated. The system starts with small steps. You don't need to overhaul your entire life in one go. Start small. Start with the actions that seem easiest. Once you've mastered those, build on them. Gradually, your focus will sharpen, and you'll find yourself naturally gravitating toward your goals. Here's a simple way to start. Pick one habit that you want to focus on for the next 30 days. Make it small, measurable, and achievable. Don't aim for perfection, just aim for consistency. Maybe it's reading for 10 minutes every day. Maybe it's working on a personal project for 30 minutes a day. The goal is to do it consistently, even when you don't feel like it. The key to making it stick is tracking your progress. This could be as simple as marking an X on a calendar for every day you complete the habit. Seeing the progress adds up will keep you motivated, even on tough days. But here's the next step. You need to take the long view. We live in an age of instant gratification, but true success takes time. The real change happens after months of consistent effort. It's the compounded effect of small actions over time that creates real transformation. That's why it's so important to commit to the process. It's not about instant results. It's about creating a life that's focused on what truly matters. And that starts with creating small, sustainable habits that compound over time. So let me ask you, what's one habit you can start today? What's the one thing that, if you do it every day, will move you closer to your goals? Start small, stay consistent, and keep building. That's how you'll break free from the noise and create the life you've been searching for. And now, as you start applying these strategies, I want to leave you with a promise. This is just the beginning. You've taken the first steps toward transforming your life, and it's only going to get better from here. But there's still more. In the next video, I'll show you exactly how to cut out the distractions that are still keeping you from your best self. We'll dive deeper into how to stay focused in a world that's constantly pulling at you. And trust me, you don't want to miss it. So here's your action step. Take a moment right now to commit to that one habit. Write it down, put it somewhere you can see it every day. And then, no matter what, make sure you do it tomorrow. The journey to a focused, productive life starts with one step. Let that step be today.